Hey there, it's me, Antonio. Although I think if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you already knew that. But, never mind that. Now, when you think the 4th of July, what do you think? Cookouts, America, freedom and independence. Well, I think of all those things. But, you know what else I think of? Fireworks. Why wild, explosive shows for us to watch up at the sky. But if not treated properly, they can also blow your fucking hands off. So I figured, in keeping with the true fashion of the Antonio the Sheep channel, what better 4th of July special than a top 10 scariest fireworks PSAs? That's right. The first Antonio the Sheep special, bitches. Roll the intro.
Even a sparkler can be dangerous if you don't take care. A sparkler stays hot even when it's out. Make sure your child doesn't start November the 6th like this.
Arguably enough, this is one of the more tame UK PIFs on fireworks safety. And by that I mean only the Dutch rival them in how horrifying their fireworks safety PSAs can be. But yeah, that scream is really what makes this PSA all the more terrifying. Yeah, it's kind of sad seeing the little girl's bandaged up hand, but seeing her shriek as her, skin off her hand is essentially burned to a crisp, that's what scares the hell out of me in this PSA. However, I put it so low because, like I said, this is arguably the tamest 1970s UK PSA I have ever seen. What'd I say? What did I say? Yeah, 9 times out of 10, if you see a Dutch firework PSA, you're gonna see someone with a hand blown off. And spoiler alert, you might actually see a hand getting blown off in one of these PSAs. Yeah. So, this PSA actually taught me a bit of Dutch, because it taught me the words for all these animals, but it also made me realize the Dutch really have a thing for calling those who mess with fireworks cows, or as the literal translation goes, oxes, which is essentially their way of calling you an ass. An ass. Like, Yeah, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, but I already lost one of my hands. Do you really need to call me an ass? Just kidding, I have both my hands. Thankfully. Yeah, I'm getting all the elementary school shit off the bat so we can get to the really nitty gritty stuff. But yeah, this PSA, I think if it weren't for that ending, I would have probably forgot it even exists. Like that, don't be a dummy! Don't throw fireworks! It's so bad. Other than that, a really solid PSA, and if it weren't for that ending, it would be even more of nightmare fuel, cause... But here's another thing I found unintentionally funny, but still scary. That was the most stock footage ass firework explosion I have ever seen and heard. I shit you not. I shit you not. Yeah, but otherwise, a really solid PSA. It's just, it's definitely a product of its time. This probably would have been horrifying back in the 80s, but not so much now.
You keep your fireworks in a bag. You place them on the ground. You use a fuse to light them. And you keep enough distance. What are you doing wrong? You've got 5 seconds. You keep your firecrackers in a bag. You use a bottle to keep them upright. You light the fuse with a cigarette. And you keep enough distance. What are you doing wrong? You've got 5 seconds. You keep your fireworks in a bag. You only light one at a time. And you always use a fuse. What are you doing wrong? You've got 5 seconds.
That's right, baby. 3 for the price of 1. On courtesy of the Consumer Safety Institute. Yeah. So, these are arguably some of the scariest Dutch PSAs you'll ever see, but there exist scarier ones than these. Yes, even scarier than a dude getting his face blown off, a dude almost getting his head blown off, and a dude blowing his fingers off. And only in the Netherlands would you ever see this in a fireworks safety PSA. Yeah. So, I can see why everybody says the Dutch are masters of scary firework PSAs, because only there would you see this kind of stuff. But yeah, on to the next entry. Like I said, we're past the baby stuff.
Oudejaarsavond. Wij zijn er klaar voor. Jij ook?
Yeah. So, for a PSA with almost no dialogue, and it took me consulting TV tropes to even understand what the announcer was saying, this PSA is incredibly effective. You see, over in the Netherlands, their New Year's Eve is like our 4th of July for fireworks. Fireworks are a big thing in the Netherlands on New Year's Eve. So, understandably, there's a lot of, injuries. And these people are screaming out in pain, which is replaced by synthesizers for some reason, so... Yeah, this PSA is beyond unsettling. But I love how the narrator just sounds like a fucking villain. Like, he's got such Bond villain energy.
Ja, die pijn, die kan je niet wegblokken. Het is net of ze er met een priem in steken. Ik heb samen met een paar vrienden een bom in elkaar geflanst. Met strijkers, een plastic zakje. Een paar strijkers als ontsteking. Op het moment dat ik hem af wou steken, ontplofte die gelijk. Bloed spoot eruit. Mijn duim lag ernaast. Het is al die jaren goed gegaan.
Now, don't take my word for it, because I don't speak Dutch. But this dude appears to have been talking about how he made homemade fireworks and it ended horribly for him. But what really sells this PSA is just that final shot where it's showing the man blew off his hand with this crackhead catastrophe. Like, it's nowhere near as graphic as a lot of the other injuries you'll be seeing are, but it is still kind of scary to look at. This dude was just trying to have fun with fireworks with his friends and lost a hand because of it. Kind of sad if you ask me.
What's she always on about this kid of hers?
Oh, I don't know. I said to her last week, I said, you worry too much about Stephen. Leaving school next year, that'll soon sort him out.
Yeah, well, that's her lookout, isn't it? Should have been stricter with him at the right time.
Yeah, well, you're too strict, you are.
Not strict, I'm fair. Don't have Kevin in the arm, is it?
Yeah, well, you can't hold kids back, though.
I'm not saying hold him back. saying there's such a thing as discipline. Fair discipline.
Well, I still say you got to draw a line.
Anyway, where is Kevin this afternoon?
Oh, I don't know. I think he said he was going round to see Stephen.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't like either. Them playing together. There's enough kids round here, judging by the rout the weekend.
Jim!
If your child was killed or badly injured in a firework accident like this, you'd probably blame the parents of the other children. But your children are your responsibility. Make sure yours aren't meddling with fireworks this bonfire night.
And here we have the PSA that was considered so graphic that for a long time it was lost for years. It's not a very common firework PSA to find, but it is incredibly effective for this very reason. It gives some solid advice. Sure, our first instinct would be to blame the other kid's parents for our kid getting hurt, but at the end of the day, they're our responsibility, not theirs. So, that being said, and if your kid blows his hand off or blows his face off in a firework accident, it is your responsibility because you're supposed to know where or what they were doing. And I think that might have been why this PSA was so controversial, is it taught accountability. Not many PSAs that teach that are well received. Because it's just easier to go, oh, it's her fault because your kid was a bad influence on mine. But no, that's not how it should be at all. In an ideal world, everybody would take responsibility for their own actions. And I feel like that's the real reason this PSA was controversial. Not because it was extremely graphic, because keep in mind, this was a 70s PSA. For fuck's sake, in the 70s in the UK, you had The Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water, which I'm surprised I did not put on my top 20 favorite PSAs list. But, yeah. I personally think it was more about the lesson in accountability it was trying to teach that made it so controversial, but it is scary. This kid does look fucking dead. Arguably, I think this was the first PSA that ever really traumatized me. Because, like, about 15 minutes after watching this PSA, I was making sure all my fingers were still there. Like, all these... Like, this PSA is... For how simple it is, it's oddly terrifying. Just because all we see are these mangled hands with this cheery countdown. And then for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. That's the melody of that song, but you know what I'm saying. It's just the hands look so creepy, not even just because they're mangled, but because the black and white filter just makes them look dead. They look dead, and it looks really fucking freaky. Even with that obvious CGI explosion, This PSA is incredibly effective. Damn. So, I think this is probably the most visceral shot of a blown apart hand I have ever seen in a PSA. And like, that is a crisp ass shot. I my compliments to the photographer who did that hand shoot, but holy shit, that burned and two-finger missing hand is an image that will be forever burned into my brain. Like, we don't see or hear the firework explode, it just fades right to the disfigured hand. I must say, very impressed. But it's got nothing on the PSA that is coming up right after I finish talking. You know this PSA is a real horror when the PSA connoisseur herself, Peachy, says it's one of the most scary PSAs she's ever reviewed. But yeah, there are some real horrors in this PSA. The creepy piano melody, the children screaming, the casualty department, and we also see a crying child operated on. Like, the child is screaming in both fear and pain. Holy fuck. If anybody ever asks me what I think the scariest firework safety PSA is, this one. Without a fucking doubt. Without a fucking doubt, this one takes the cake. There is just no contest. Now, normally, TV Tropes has the most horrifying PSAs at the bottom of its lists. But no, this one, it was actually at the top for some reason. Well, that being said, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary daisies like myself, I would love to keep going, but I gotta end the video here. If y'all enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you did all those things, y'all have a great day. Antonio out. Also plugging my Discord before I end the video. Oh, I need more activity there. I'm also hoping to find people good with bots, and also hoping to find people to moderate the server as it gets bigger. It's still a pretty small place with only about 20 or so members, but so far, the sheep herd has proven itself to be quite an interesting community. And I would love to see more people drawn here by my videos. So join or don't, it really doesn't matter to me, but please give the sheep herd a chance.